There's a sleeping giant inside you, waiting, restless, ready to rise. Most people live and die with their potential still locked inside them, chained by fear, crushed by self-doubt, waiting for the right moment that never comes, but not you. Because the story you're about to hear isn't just another audiobook. It's a wake-up call, a raw, undeniable truth that will shatter your limits, rewire your mind, and hand you the keys to wealth, power, and unstoppable success. The question is, will you answer the call or let the giant sleep forever? Keep listening. Sarah stared at the screen, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. The blinking cursor mocked her, a relentless reminder of yet another script she couldn't bring herself to finish. She had poured months into her content, self-improvement, motivation, real-life stories of struggle and triumph. But the numbers didn't lie. Her subscriber count barely inched forward, and her latest video had scraped together a pathetic 112 views. She let out a slow breath, her eyes shifting to the stack of bills on her desk. Rent was due in 2 weeks. The electricity bill had a red warning stamp on it. Even her grocery budget had shrunk to instant noodles and discount bread. Sarah leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Maybe they were right. Her parents had always warned her that content creation wasn't a real job. "Just get something stable, Sarah," her mother had said over the phone last week. "You're almost 30. You can't live off dreams." She hated that they saw her as a failure. Worse, she was starting to believe it herself. Her phone buzzed. A message from Jason, her best friend and former college roommate. "Jason, Sarah, watch this. It might help." She clicked the link and a YouTube video loaded. Awaken, the Giant Within Lessons from Tony Robbins. Sarah sighed. Motivational speeches? Seriously? She had tried them all before. Morning affirmations, visualization exercises, journaling. They made her feel good for a few hours, maybe a day, but real life always came crashing back. Still, she clicked play. Tony's deep, commanding voice filled her small apartment. "Most people fail in life because they major in minor things." Sarah frowned. Was that what I was doing? She spent hours tweaking her thumbnails, stressing over the algorithm, mindlessly copying trending formats that didn't even align with her message. She was constantly busy, but never really moving forward. The video continued. Your life changes the moment you make a real decision. A real decision, not a wish, not another half-hearted attempt. A decision so powerful it left no room for retreat. She grabbed her notebook, flipping to an empty page. Her pen hovered above it as doubt crept in. What if I fail? Another line from Tony broke through her hesitation. If you want a new life, you need new standards. Raise them now. Sarah pressed her pen to the page and wrote in bold, capital letters, "No more excuses." She underlined it twice. Enough with self-pity. Enough with waiting for luck. She needed to master something beyond just making content. She needed to understand influence, persuasion, human psychology. People didn't engage with videos just because they were well made. They engaged because something spoke to them. Her heart pounded. This was it. Tomorrow, everything would change. The next morning, Sarah woke up with a rare sense of clarity. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media like she usually did, she reached for her notebook. No more excuses. The word stared back at her. Last night, something had shifted inside her, but would it last? Or was this just another fleeting moment of inspiration? She needed more. Opening her laptop, she searched for Awaken, the Giant Within. Within minutes, she had the digital copy on her screen. She skimmed the introduction, then the first chapter, until a passage stopped her cold. The quality of your life is the quality of your decisions. Her stomach twisted. How many times had she chosen comfort over growth? How many times had she let fear make her decisions for her? Tony Robbins described how one decision could reshape a destiny. He talked about the moment he went from broke, overweight, and depressed to fully committing to changing his life. It wasn't gradual, it was a snap decision. Sarah leaned back. Could it really be that simple? Just deciding? As if the universe was testing her, a notification popped up on her phone. Freelance job opportunity, need an editor for motivational content. Her heart raced. She had been avoiding freelance work for months, convincing herself that if she took on projects for others, she'd never have time to grow her own channel. But wasn't that just another excuse? Her fingers hovered over the reply button. Then she shut her eyes and whispered, "No more hesitation." She clicked. "Sarah, I'd love to help. When can we discuss the details?" The reply came within minutes. Client, let's hop on a call today. Payment up front. $500 for the first project. Sarah's jaw dropped. She had just made $500 in less than 5 minutes. It wasn't millions, but it was proof. Proof that taking action led to results. She turned back to the book, flipping to another passage. Success is not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. Sarah realized she had been waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect circumstances. But what if she could create those herself? For the next hour, she devoured the book. She underlined passages, took notes, wrote down ideas. But the real breakthrough came when she stumbled upon Tony's lesson on neuroassociative conditioning. If you link massive pain to an old habit and massive pleasure to a new one, change becomes automatic. That was it. Her problem wasn't motivation, it was association. She had linked failure, fear, and self-doubt to content creation. She needed to rewire her brain to see it differently. A new idea hit her like lightning. What if she didn't just read this book? What if she lived it? She grabbed her camera. Tonight she would record a video, not about motivation, but about transformation. Hey, sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying this story so far, consider hitting that subscribe button. Your support truly means the world to us. All right, let's continue. That night, Sarah sat in front of her camera, staring at the lens. Her fingers drummed against her desk. She had recorded dozens of videos before, but this felt different. This wasn't just another attempt to grow her channel. This was her moment. The moment where she stopped talking at the audience and started talking with them. She took a deep breath and hit record. A week ago, I almost quit. Her voice was steady, but inside her heart pounded. I told myself the same lies so many of us do. I'm not good enough. Maybe I should just give up. Maybe success is for other people, not me. She paused, gathering her thoughts. And then I read this book, Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, and it made me realize something that changed everything. I wasn't failing because I wasn't talented. I was failing because I was making wrong decisions. Every single day. She glanced at her notes, scanning the key lessons she had written down. Lesson 1. Change happens in an instant. I always thought transformation was slow, that success was a long, painful grind. But Tony Robbins says that change happens the moment you truly decide, not when you hope things will be different, not when you try for a few weeks, but when you say, this is who I am now, no turning back. Sarah leaned closer to the camera. And that's exactly what I did. Yesterday, I stopped waiting for the perfect moment and took a freelance gig. One decision, one message, and within minutes, I made $500. She smiled, feeling the excitement rush through her again. What would happen if you made one real decision today? She let the question linger before moving on to the next lesson. Lesson 2. We don't lack resources, we lack resourcefulness. For years, I told myself I couldn't succeed because I didn't have the right equipment, the right connections, the right algorithm hack. But the truth? I wasn't using what I did have. I wasn't thinking creatively, pushing myself, or even asking the right questions. She gestured around her small apartment. This is all I have. A cheap camera, a basic laptop, no team, no budget. But that doesn't mean I can't create impact. It just means I need to stop looking at what's missing and start using what's already here. She exhaled. So here's my challenge to you. Stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Take one step today that your future self will thank you for. Comment below. What's one decision you can make right now that will change everything? She pressed stop. For the first time in forever, she wasn't thinking about views, likes, or subscribers. She was thinking about impact, and that, she realized, was the real secret to success. Sarah uploaded the video and shut her laptop. No overthinking, no second guessing. For once, she wasn't obsessing over thumbnails, click-through rates, or the perfect keywords. She had spoken her truth, and that was enough. Or at least, that's what she told herself. The next morning, her fingers trembled as she opened YouTube. Maybe no one watched it. Maybe people hated it. Maybe her breath hitched. 12,487 views. Sarah blinked. That couldn't be right. She refreshed the page. The number ticked up. 12,530. Her notifications were flooded. Comment 1. This hit me so hard. I've been making excuses for years. Time to change. Comment 2. I needed this today. Thank you. Comment 3. Subscribed. Can't wait for more content like this. She covered her mouth with her hands, her heart pounding. For the first time, people weren't just watching. They were connecting. She clicked over to her email. The subject line of the first message made her jaw drop. Sponsorship opportunity. We love your message. Sarah skimmed the email, her pulse racing. A self-improvement brand wanted to sponsor her next video. It wasn't a huge amount, just $300, but it was the first time someone saw her content as valuable enough to invest in. She grabbed her notebook and flipped to the page where she had written, "No more excuses." Underneath it, she wrote, Lesson 3, Progress, not perfection. I wasted years trying to make everything flawless, she thought. But success isn't about perfection. It's about momentum, about taking messy action and figuring it out along the way. She had proof now. Her imperfect video had done more for her career than any meticulously edited, overthought piece ever had. But just as she was about to bask in her victory, doubt crept in. What if this was a fluke? What if I can't do it again? Her fingers tightened around her pen. No, this wasn't luck. This was action. And if she wanted to keep this momentum, she had to keep making decisions that moved her forward. Her next challenge was clear. She needed to master influence. Tony Robbins didn't just teach motivation. He taught the psychology behind why people listen, engage, and take action. Sarah opened Awaken the Giant Within again and flipped to the section on neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. If you can understand how people think, you can communicate in a way that moves them. Her breath quickened. That was it. She wasn't just a content creator, she was a storyteller, a communicator. And if she could apply these principles correctly, she could create content that didn't just get views, but changed lives. A slow smile spread across her face. The real work was just beginning. For the next 2 weeks, Sarah poured herself into learning. She devoured chapters from Awaken the Giant Within, filling her notebook with key takeaways. She studied NLP, persuasion techniques, and the psychology of influence. Her next videos reflected this shift. Instead of just sharing motivation, she crafted stories that pulled people in. She structured her content using Tony's principles, tapping into emotions, creating urgency, and framing problems in a way that made people feel the solution. And it worked. Her channel, which had been stagnant for months, was growing. 5,000 subscribers, then 10,000. Brands started reaching out. Viewers flooded her comments, thanking her for changing their perspective. Sarah had never felt more alive. Until the algorithm betrayed her. One morning, she opened YouTube to find that her latest video, one she had spent days perfecting, had completely flopped. 678 views. She refreshed the page. No change. A pit formed in her stomach. She checked the analytics. Watch time was low, engagement was down, the video wasn't being recommended. Why? Self-doubt rushed in. What if this was all temporary? What if I was never meant to succeed? The spiral was fast and brutal. She started questioning every decision she had made. Maybe her earlier success had been a fluke. Maybe she wasn't cut out for this. Then she caught herself. She flipped through her notes, searching for something, anything, that could snap her out of this. Her eyes landed on a passage she had underlined 3 times. Winners take setbacks as feedback, not failure. Sarah clenched her jaw. She had come too far to fall back into old habits. She pulled up her video and rewatched it, not as the creator, but as a viewer. And suddenly, she saw it. The intro was too slow. The hook wasn't strong enough. She had tried too hard to sound perfect instead of being real. She exhaled. This wasn't a sign to quit. This was a lesson. Sarah grabbed her camera and hit record. All right, guys, I need to be honest. She told her audience exactly what had happened, how she had gotten caught up in perfection again, how she had let fear creep back in. But here's what I've learned. Failure is an illusion. It's just a stepping stone to something better. So instead of sulking, I'm doing what Tony Robbins teaches. Analyzing, adjusting, and taking massive action. That's how we win. She posted it without overthinking. And this time, the response was even bigger than before. The video exploded. People resonated with her vulnerability. They shared their own failures, their own fears. And just like that, Sarah realized the truth. People didn't connect with perfection. They connected with growth. She had just unlocked the next level of her journey. Sarah had always thought success was about getting things right the first time, but now she understood it was about adapting. Her latest video, where she openly shared her struggles, had struck a chord. Comments poured in from people who felt the same way. Comment 1, "This is exactly what I needed to hear today. I keep quitting after one failure. No more." Comment 2, "Your vulnerability is why I trust you. Keep going." Comment 3, "I've been scared to start my own channel, but this gave me the push I needed. Thank you." Sarah's heart swelled. She had spent months chasing views, trying to crack the algorithm. But the truth was, the real key to growth wasn't tricks or hacks. It was trust. And trust came from authenticity. She turned back to awaken the giant within, flipping to a passage that had stayed with her. Your identity is the foundation of everything. Change your identity, and your life changes with it. Sarah had always seen herself as trying to be a successful creator, but now she decided she was a successful creator. Not because of views or sponsorships, but because she had built a community, a movement. That shift changed everything. Her next few videos weren't just about motivation, they were about transformation. She didn't just tell people to take action, she showed them. She started a weekly challenge called No More Excuses Mondays, where she and her audience would commit to one action that pushed them out of their comfort zone. The results were immediate. People sent her messages about how they finally started their businesses, applied for dream jobs, mended broken relationships, all because she gave them the push they needed. And the numbers reflected it. 50,000 subscribers. A month later, 100,000. Brands now reached out with real offers. No more small-time sponsorships. Companies wanted partnerships. And then, the email that changed everything. "We'd love to have you speak at our Self-Growth Summit next month. Let's discuss details." Sarah's hands trembled. A year ago, she had been begging for attention. Now, people wanted her on their stage. She stared at her reflection in the laptop screen. "I did this, not by being perfect, not by following trends, but by becoming someone people believed in." She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered the words that had become her mantra. No more excuses. This was only the beginning. Sarah sat at her desk, staring at the email. "We'd love to have you speak at our Self-Growth Summit next month. Let's discuss details." Her stomach twisted. Speaking? On a stage? In front of a live audience? She had always been comfortable behind a camera where she could edit out mistakes, perfect her message, and hide behind the safety of a screen. But this was different. She thought back to everything she had learned from Awaken, the giant within. Your destiny is shaped in the moments of decision. This was one of those moments. She could say no, retreat into comfort, and let the opportunity slip away. Or she could say yes, even though it terrified her. Her fingers trembled as she typed, "Sarah, I'd love to be part of the summit. Let's set up a call to discuss details." She hit send before she could overthink it. 2 weeks later, Sarah stepped onto the stage, her heart hammering in her chest. The lights were blinding. Hundreds of people sat in the audience, waiting. She clutched the microphone, swallowing hard. Her mind screamed at her to run. "You don't belong here. You're not a speaker. What if you mess up?" Then she remembered Tony's lesson on state management. Your emotions don't control you. You control them. She took a deep breath, straightened her shoulders, and smiled. "A year ago, I was sitting in a tiny apartment, convinced I was a failure." The room fell silent. "I thought success was for other people. I made excuses. I waited for the perfect moment. But then I read a book that changed my life, and it taught me that the only thing standing between me and success was me." A few people nodded, others leaned forward, hooked. Sarah felt her nerves fade. She shared her journey, the struggles, the failures, the breakthroughs. She spoke from the heart, not trying to be perfect, but trying to be real. And when she finished, the crowd erupted into applause. Sarah stepped off the stage, exhaling. "I just did that." It wasn't flawless. She had stumbled over a word or two, but it didn't matter. She had faced her biggest fear and won. Later that night, she checked her phone. Her inbox was flooded. "Your talk changed my life. I've been stuck for years, but after hearing you, I finally believe I can do this. Thank you for being real. That's what we need more of." Sarah smiled. She had spent years consuming motivational content. Now, she was creating it. She wasn't just learning from the greats. She was becoming one of them. The morning after the summit, Sarah woke up to a notification she never expected. "Congratulations! You've hit 250,000 subscribers." She stared at the screen in disbelief. A year ago, she had struggled to get even 100 views. Now, 250,000 people were following her journey. Her phone buzzed again. Another email. "We'd like to offer you a book deal. Your story is powerful, and we believe it could inspire thousands." A book deal? Sarah clutched her chest. This was surreal. But even as excitement surged through her, a small voice whispered in the back of her mind, "Are you really ready for this?" She had built her brand around transparency, around sharing her struggles as she learned. But was she qualified to write a book? To stand among the greats like Tony Robbins? Doubt crept in. That night, she opened Awaken, the giant within again. If you doubt yourself, remember this. You don't need to know everything. You just need to be one step ahead of the people you're helping. Sarah exhaled. She didn't need to be Tony Robbins. She needed to be Sarah, sharing what she had learned in a way only she could. She grabbed her notebook and wrote, "I am ready." The next morning, she emailed the publisher back. "Sarah, I'd love to discuss this opportunity. Let's set up a call." The moment she hit send, something clicked inside her. This wasn't about luck. This wasn't about waiting for permission. This was happening because she took action. And she wasn't stopping now. 1 year ago, she had almost quit. Now, she was just getting started. Sarah sat in a sleek conference room, the publisher's logo displayed on the glass walls. Across from her sat the acquisitions editor, a woman with sharp eyes and a warm smile. "We love your story, Sarah," the editor said. "We believe this book could be a game changer. But before we move forward, tell me, why do you want to write this?" Sarah took a deep breath. "Because I know what it feels like to doubt yourself, to think you're not good enough. I wasted years waiting for the right time, until I realized the right time is now. My book isn't just about my journey. It's a blueprint for anyone who feels stuck, showing them how to take control of their life the way I did." The editor nodded, impressed. "That's exactly what we were hoping to hear." 2 weeks later, Sarah signed the contract. She was officially an author. The moment should have felt like the peak of her success, but she quickly realized that new challenges came with new levels. Writing a book was different from creating content. It required focus, discipline, and deeper introspection than ever before. For the first time in months, self-doubt resurfaced. What if I can't finish? What if people don't care? Then she caught herself. She flipped open Awaken, the giant within, scanning for guidance. One line stood out. "When you set a new standard for yourself, you must back it up with action. Otherwise, it's just a wish." Sarah tightened her grip on her pen. She had set the standard. Now, it was time to back it up. She blocked off hours each morning to write, treating it like a non-negotiable commitment. Some days the words flowed effortlessly. Other days she struggled, but she kept going. She wasn't just writing a book. She was proving to herself, again, that she could do hard things. And the more she wrote, the more she realized. She wasn't the same woman who had once doubted her worth. She had transformed. She wasn't just a content creator anymore. She was a leader. Sarah was weeks away from finishing her book when it happened. A wave of negative comments flooded her latest video. "You're just another wannabe self-help guru. Why should anyone listen to you? You're not Tony Robbins. Your success is just luck. You'll fade like the rest." She stared at the screen, her chest tightening. She had dealt with criticism before, but this was different. These weren't just trolls. Some were longtime followers, people who had once supported her, but now questioned if she was truly qualified to lead. The old Sarah would have spiraled. She would have overanalyzed every comment, let doubt creep in, maybe even considered quitting. But not this time. She closed her laptop and grabbed her notebook, flipping to a page where she had written one of Tony Robbins' core principles. Never let the opinions of others dictate your destiny. Sarah knew the truth. People criticized those who took risks, those who dared to change. She had grown beyond the version of herself they had first connected with, and some people didn't like that. That wasn't her problem. It was theirs. She took a deep breath, opened her laptop, and started writing again. If anything, this backlash was proof she was on the right path. Because the only people who never face criticism are the ones who never do anything. The final chapter of her book wasn't just about success, it was about resilience. And this moment was her ultimate test. She refused to fail. Months later, Sarah stood backstage at the biggest event of her life, a sold-out self-improvement conference where she was the keynote speaker. Her book, No More Excuses, the mindset shift that changed everything, had become a bestseller within weeks of its release. She had received messages from thousands of readers, people who had started businesses, left toxic jobs, and taken control of their lives because her story gave them the push they needed. But standing here, moments away from stepping onto that stage, she felt something unexpected. Fear. The voice of doubt whispered, "Do you really belong here?" She clenched her fists. No. She had earned this moment. She took a deep breath, stepped onto the stage, and faced the sea of eager faces. 3 years ago, I was sitting in a tiny apartment drowning in self-doubt. I thought success was for other people. I was waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect opportunity. She paused, scanning the crowd. But then I realized the perfect moment doesn't exist. Success isn't given, it's built. And it starts with one decision: to stop making excuses and take control of your life. Applause erupted. Sarah smiled. I'm not here because I'm special. I'm here because I chose to change. And if I can do it, so can you. As the crowd rose to their feet in a standing ovation, Sarah felt it deep in her soul. This wasn't luck. This was the power of action. And now it was their turn. You've just heard Sarah's story, her struggles, her breakthroughs, and the moment she decided to stop waiting and start acting. But this isn't just her story. This is your story too. Right now you have a choice. You can let fear, doubt, and excuses hold you back, or you can take that first step toward the life you truly want. Remember, success isn't about luck. It's about decisions. It's about action. What's one decision you can make today that will change everything? Write it down, say it out loud, and then act on it. Because the truth is, you don't need permission. You don't need the perfect moment. You just need to start. No more waiting, no more doubting, no more excuses. Your giant is waiting. It's time to wake it up.